Where do you work at?
I work for a police department.
New tonight.
You know you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
Yes, sir. I know that.
Police officers getting arrested for driving under the influence.
You ruined my career. You ruined your career.
How widespread is the problem, and do these officers receive preferential treatment?
Last I heard was we're supposed to treat them like everybody else.
11 Alive investigator Katie Beck puts police DUIs in Georgia under a microscope and is holding the powerful accountable.
She's not under arrest or anything.
Oh.
Police officers caught drunk driving and captured on dash cam video. Over the next 3 nights, we're going to show you real cases that raise real questions. Are police treated like everyone else, or are there blurred lines?
My badge number 2531.
Okay.
I'm a deputy.
And this deputy's bad decision has led her here.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
A room where she has no right to remain silent.
Are you guilty of driving under the influence of alcohol?
I mean, by law, yes.
It broke the drive shaft on the truck.
It's the very same law she's sworn to enforce.
Take that right there.
And the same scenario many others who carry a badge have stumbled their way through.
You just arrested a cop. Thanks. Awesome.
Officers know the law well.
You know how it is. I know it is. You've done DUI investigations yourself.
Most have taken drunk drivers to jail.
Hey, you're a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
So you know you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
Yes, sir. I know that.
But state records show many Georgia law enforcement officers are ignoring their own good advice.
So why are you drinking and driving?
Handcuffing a bad decision that happens far too often.
That's why he didn't say anything, but he made sure that I saw a badge and an APD ID.
Cases like these get reported to the Peace Officers Standards and Training Council. POST is the state agency that gives officers certifications, but they can also revoke them. We discovered that out of the 165 reported cases of officer DUIs in Georgia over the past 3 years, revocation only happened 14 times.
How drunk are you right now?
I'm not that drunk.
We dug deeper and found many cases where officers on our list, even multiple offenders, were given special treatment, something one officer called the law enforcement discount. Deputy Matthew Guy's case had it all. This was 2013. Guy, at the time a Coweta County Sheriff's deputy, is pulled over for speeding at 1 in the morning by Noonan police.
You drinking some alcohol tonight?
An unopened 12-pack on his front seat,
Smell it.
the smell of alcohol on his breath.
You know me? Who are you? You work for the county?
It all appears to be processed as normal.
What's my finger? And are we doing field sobriety? Yes, sir. I'm on field sobriety.
A refusal, an arrest,
Arrest me for driving under the influence.
until Noonan decides to call Guy's employer.
You anywhere close to me?
And 2 Coweta deputies show up on scene.
I don't want to take you to the jail and make you bond out and all that. So.
Cameras capture with clarity the deputy as he's unhandcuffed and freed to go home.
All right, Mr. Guy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be releasing you on copy for driving under the influence of alcohol.
Guy got a ride home from the scene with the fellow Coweta deputy who'd arrived. As for Guy's car, his mother was called to come and pick it up. Here she is talking to officers.
I'm just asking you from a mother.
And then driving it home for him.
That was an horrendous video of an officer simply letting a friend go.
Jackie Patterson would know. He's got the experience.
In my 24 years as a lawyer, and my 14 years as a judge, and 6 years as a police officer, I've never seen a person charged with DUI that was let go unless they were on their way to the hospital because of an injury.
But Guy wasn't injured. He was police.
And he clearly got preferential treatment because anyone else in that same situation would have been taken to jail.
I'm Katie Beck.
Buster Meadows.
We went to the head of the department who conducted the stop, Noonan's police chief, Buster Meadows.
His mom was actually allowed to come to the scene and retrieve his car, and then it seemed that a sheriff's buddy that was called
was able to give him a ride home. I mean, does that just seem like preferential treatment to you?
Oh, yes, it was preferential treatment.
You heard him correctly.
Everything I took from you?
He admits Guy got a break because he was a deputy. What type of message do you think that sends when it's an officer that's given that kind of special treatment? Because that's what happened here.
Yeah, that's not a good message.
Meadows says when he learned of the incident, he disciplined the arresting officer by putting a letter in his file.
That was a one-time incident that I'm aware of. We handled it, and we're moving forward.
But it wasn't a one-time incident for Guy. His personnel file at Coweta shows 2 previous suspensions in the 2 years before his DUI stop. In 2012, Guy admitted to punching a fellow deputy in the face multiple times while intoxicated at a party. The damage was substantial, a deep laceration that required the deputy to get stitches and several $1,000s worth of dental work.
Even if there was no charges brought, that person would be considered, in my view, unfit to serve as a police officer.
No charges. Guy was suspended for a week and paid the deputy's dental bill. The DUI charge that came later, that got knocked down to reckless driving, and Guy resigned from Coweta.
If Post does not revoke your certification, you are free to move to any department.
He's leaving.
And Post didn't revoke. Instead, they put Guy on probation for 36 months. It didn't take him nearly that long to find a new job in a neighboring town. Hi, I'm Katie back from 11 Alive News. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Did you happen to get my email that I sent you?
Yes, I did.
About the story we're working on?
Yes, ma'am.
We wanted to talk to you. We're doing a story about DUI cases. And
Okay. No, I don't have any comment on the story.
You don't want to make any comment for the story at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
On Guy's application for his current job, he listed that he had experience doing DUI stops. He also listed that deputy who gave him a ride home from his own DUI stop as a job reference. Guy is one of many cases, and we'll have many more to show you tomorrow night at 11.
Right now at 11, cops drunk,
You're gonna arrest a cop?
slurring,
I know I heard 5 shots.
and busted behind the wheel.
Katie Beck exposes what really happens when the drunk driver also has a badge.
The video doesn't lie. That's what the head of the state agency that oversees police misconduct in Georgia says about the video we're now going to show you.
Officer Robert Driscoll is off duty
You don't mind the ticket.
and all over the road.
On the job. On the job.
He's actually not. He's letting police know they pulled over one of their own.
Take that right there.
Unstable on his feet, Driscoll stumbles. An angry arrest.
You just arrested a cop. Thanks. Awesome.
This leads Driscoll to being put in the back seat of a patrol car.
Come on, boys. You're gonna arrest a cop?
You should have picked another way to get home, a cab or...
Stop. Don't be that guy. Come on, man. Talk to your sergeant. Come on.
Already talked to him.
The sober officer ignoring the insults from the drunk one.
Hey, rookie. Rook, you're horse right now. Rook. Terrible. Horse.
Former police officer and Judge Jackie Patterson reviewed the video.
If you're an upstanding and professional police officer, that video will outrage you.
He's put one of your brothers in jail.
Driscoll was fired.
You put one of your brothers in jail.
But his certification was not revoked. His name was on the list of 165 Georgia officers who in the past 3 years have reported DUIs to Post, the agency that oversees officer offenses. 14 of the 165 have had their certification revoked.
No police officer in their right mind wants to be associated with that kind of video.
It broke the drive shaft on the truck.
From the scene of an accident to the scene of an internal affairs interview.
Like after that third drink, I felt a little off, but he went ahead and made me a fourth one.
Several hours at a bar and several mixed drinks later.
And to be honest, I can handle my alcohol.
Rockdale County Sheriff's Deputy Frances Farmer drove home.
My badge number is 2531.
At 3 a.m., she took 2 friends in her truck
That's what path that your truck took.
But the ride for passengers didn't end at home.
Bleeding from the nose, mouth.
Instead, in the hospital.
Okay, you said she's bleeding from the nose and the mouth. Anything else?
This is Farmer's call to 911 from the scene.
Just want to make sure that you're okay. Are you injured at all?
I have no idea.
She ran off the road, crashing into 3 separate trees before finally coming to a stop.
So you were involved in a vehicle in an accident also?
I was a passenger.
Okay.
Yes, you heard that correctly. Initially, Farmer tells the dispatcher she was not the driver.
Are you injured?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not driving.
Did you tell Warren, Reynolds, and Bert that you were the driver?
I didn't come out and say it.
But she did mention a deer she was avoiding when she went off the road.
I thought it was a deer, and that's all I could think of, and then I'm like, wait a minute.
That story changed again.
Do you think you passed out? Do you think you fell asleep? What?
I don't know if I passed out. I don't know if I blacked out.
Another thing she's unclear on.
It comes right through like a tornado through.
How much did she actually drink?
How is it that you got to a .17 an hour and a half after you have 4 drinks?
That's more than double the legal limit.
I mean, it may, but because all I had was 4.
Not long after this admission.
Are you guilty of driving under the influence of alcohol?
I mean, by law, yes.
Farmer resigned. A judge found her guilty of the DUI charge. She appealed and lost, but Farmer has not lost her certification to work in law enforcement.
Because there's such a shortage of police officers in these departments, that's how they're able to travel from one department to the next.
Well, you kind of all over the road. How much you had to drink tonight? I can smell it on you.
That's a different story for Officer Daryl Slaughter.
That's why he didn't say anything, but he made sure that I saw a badge and an APD ID.
At the time of his DUI stop, he was an Atlanta police officer. He still is.
Very wrong.
Yeah.
I just got a gun, so.
And while discussing how to handle the officer they just stopped, we noticed this. Slaughter pours a drink out the window.
How drunk are you right now? I'm not that drunk.
But drunk enough to have some confusion on the current date.
What's today's date? My day's date is October the 31st of 2030. 2030? Yes, sir. 2030. Yes, sir.
More questions and more bad answers.
I know I ain't had too much to drink to drive. Why do you know that? Because of the fact that I can still drive.
And then field sobriety tests.
Hey, stay right there. Don't start yet. Don't start yet. No. Back up over here. I want you to get back talk. Come on now.
Slaughter's breath test at the scene registered a .249.
I know I had 5 shots of vodka. A vodka? Yes, sir.
He later pled guilty and was given a 5-day sentence in jail.
Last I heard was we're supposed to treat him like everybody else.
But are they treated like everyone else?
Whatever happens in a criminal court of law is not my concern.
You ruined my career. You ruined your career.
3 very clear examples of conduct unbecoming an officer.
Do you agree with me that you're drunk? Yeah.
All 3 still have their certification, giving them the right to work in law enforcement.
Come on, man. Put this on.
Tomorrow night, you'll hear from the executive director of Post. You'll watch him respond to the same videos that we've shown you. Don't miss the final report of Blurred Lines tomorrow night at 11. I'm 11 Alive investigative reporter Katie Beck, and over the past 2 nights, we've shown you case after case of police officers caught for drunk driving. Some were belligerent, some lied. One even laughed at the scene of his own arrest. Tonight, we asked the man in charge of all police licensing in the state of Georgia, are these officers fit to serve? Officers. Drunk?
Do you agree with me that you're drunk? Yeah.
And behind the wheel.
I think that if you're in this line of work, you've got to be above and beyond. But people make mistakes.
You've done DUI investigations yourself.
Even police make mistakes.
Hey, you're a police officer, right? Yes, sir. You know you shouldn't be drinking and driving. Yes, sir. I know that.
I don't care.
Ken Vance, executive director of Post, watched our video as officers stumbled, bumbled,
What's today's date? 2030. 2030? Yes, sir. 2030. Yes, sir.
and were even let go.
I'm going to be releasing you on copy.
Post tracks and sanctions police misconduct in Georgia.
Are these investigations thorough? Have they looked at the same dash cam that we have?
I don't know.
Post decides what officers stay in good standing, which get probation, and which lose their license to enforce the law.
There's not much we hadn't seen or done or seen done.
Hey, rookie, you're a horse right now.
But at times, this video left him speechless.
That's a wake-up call. That's a wake-up call. It's like an open hand slap across your cheek.
We showed Vance some of the cases we found in our investigation of police DUIs over the past 3 years. 165 offenses, only 14 revocations.
We ask people who make $31,000 a year to always make the right and appropriate decision, and they don't. We don't, as you and I don't sometimes.
Sure, but I also don't carry a gun and a badge.
Well, and that's true.
And I don't pull people over for a DUI.
I can't argue with your logic, ma'am. I can't do that.
That's why he didn't say anything, but he made sure that I saw a badge and an APD ID.
Usually a DUI conviction puts police on probation, which doesn't stop them from working.
In certain cases in the video, there's more than one offense. It's not just the DUI. It's, leaving the scene of an accident.
That's revocable.
It's giving false information.
That's revocable.
Okay, but we have cases where
it
was not revoked.
And to be honest, I can handle my alcohol.
Starting with former Rockdale deputy Frances Farmer, who wrecked her truck after drinking all night in a bar.
Bleeding from the nose, mouth.
Farmer injured 2 passengers and initially lied about being the driver.
Her certification has not been revoked. Is that questionable in your mind?
Seeing that? Yes, ma'am.
Vance had an even stronger reaction to Officer Robert Driscoll's belligerent backseat insults during his arrest.
Don't kill my career.
He killed his career.
You made a bad decision tonight. You put one of your brothers in jail.
What your reaction to that behavior?
Makes me sick to my stomach.
You ruined my career. You ruined your career.
Cases like this, will make you second guess yourself. Make you second guess yourself a lot.
All right, Mr. Guy.
Finally, we arrived at the Matthew Guy case. Vance watched as Guy's handcuffs are taken off. He's given a roadside citation for DUI.
There's nothing I can say about that to make it right. Can't do that.
And his car is driven home by his mother.
What does that do to the public's image of preferential treatment of police?
It destroys it. It destroys confidence in our profession. It's the one thing that tears down in 2 minutes what takes 20 years to build.
The state agency is currently deciding more than 1,500 pending cases with only 9 investigators.
The video tells a true story, it really does, and it's upsetting. It really is upsetting.
But for Vance, seeing these cases, seeing this video,
sometimes you need those teachable moments.
I know I ain't had too much against the guy.
He admits there are cracks in the process, loopholes in the system that allow unfit officers to remain on the job.
What I've just seen are 3 real good teachable moments.
He assures us that sealing those cracks will be his top priority.
There'll be some education and probably some changes forthcoming.
Vance assures us that we will see changes in the way Post reviews its cases and the sanctions they hand down. He says, again, for him, our story was a wake-up call. The blurred lines now coming into focus on a flawed system that needs to be fixed for the sake of public safety. I'm Katie Beck for 11 Alive News.